Edward Snowden is the guy that has exposed, if you like, the security program called PRISM that supposedly the NSA, which is the US government's equivalent to our GCHQ, is running to gather lots and lots of pieces of information about just about everybody. And clearly this has upset the public generally, because they think that information is being stored on them in these big computer systems, ready and ripe for picking out should they transgress in any way, shape or form, or indeed not transgress. So the government are storing this information. To me, this isn't a surprise, to be honest, but that's not the point. The point is, why did this guy, called Edward Snowden, decide to be a whistleblower? And I suspect he had a motive.
Well, yes, he did. And it's been really interesting going over the tapes as well and looking at his body language and looking at what he's saying. Really, when you boil this down, it comes down to a conflict in values.
That's his values.
His values. His values have been compromised by his workplace, which has led him to take, pretty significant action. Interestingly enough, values are the foundations of our identity and who we are.
So we each have these?
Yeah, everybody has their own set of values. Values are different than morals. When I use the word values, morals are your sort of code by life that you live by. Values in the true sense of the word mean what's important to you in life. Okay. So they are the foundations of who we are, and our behaviour comes off of our value set, and as does our beliefs.
So do we change our values?
Our values grow. Our values grow as we grow. As we have new experiences in life, our values upgrade. Our core values will remain similar throughout our lives, but there are big shifts in value set. When someone's gone through, perhaps a tough time in life and realised what's important to them, then their values will have gone through a big shift too. You can have conflicts in values as well. So somebody, trust could be important to someone, but adventure could be important too, or family. And not having your values acknowledged are the number one reasons people leave work, and the number one reasons relationships split up. So they're very important.
So let's get behind this guy then. So yeah, he has a set of values.
Yes.
That's driven him to be a whistleblower. And so what was he thinking? I mean, what went through his mind?
Well, it's important to understand that values aren't right or wrong. They're just your values. They can be wrong in another person's opinion. But when you look at his behaviour behind that, I can pretty much be certain that one of his big values is trust. So trust is really important to him.
To get the job that he had, he was trusted though. So that played right into his values.
On some level, yes. And what's happened here is his trust has been compromised. And so therefore, if you look, he's not being a whistleblower on everything he's ever learned. He's not putting out a book saying everything that's going on behind the scenes. He's just taken a part of that and has delivered that. Everything else is still trusted, and he's demonstrated that throughout the interview.
So I think he should have written a book, to be honest. That might have been a little more profitable in a way. So the psychology of him making this decision to be a whistleblower, he must have been playing on his mind for quite some time.
Well, he's an analyst, and an analyst's mind specialises in fitting detail together. A good analytical mind will work out all the possibilities. So yeah, he'll have been sitting on this for quite some time, and I'd imagine it will have had quite a big impact on his emotional well-being over that time as he works out the best probable way of staying safe.
The irony is then that somebody, maybe in his work colleagues or in his peer group, would have actually seen this guy change maybe during the time that he was working and coming up to this point of gathering information, decided that he was going to be the whistleblower.
I would imagine he has had conversations with people and obviously hasn't felt listened to. And, there comes a point where, everybody needs to be true to their values or upgrade their values. And this is his way of being true to his values.
Right. Well, we find him doing the interview just a few days ago now in Hong Kong. And it seems mental to me why he would, first of all, jack in his very nice job. But I understand that values is driving. But what would drive someone to go to another country? And I have no idea particularly why the logic of Hong Kong, other than that it's close to China?
Well, as an analyst, he's done his research and he's worked out component by component what is the best way of keeping him safe. So, you know, he's also he's accepted the fact that he's opened up his life to a great deal of uncertainty, and also a lot of danger that he's brought into his life. Analysts need safety. You know, they analyse to reduce risk a lot of the time. So that naturally doesn't switch off at 6 o'clock when you finish work. It's prevalent in every area of your life. You know, when I work with a lot of analysts, sometimes they've got so stuck on the detail that they've lost touch with the bigger picture. And that could indeed be, come into play here too.
Has age played anything with him because he's 29?
However bright you are intellectually, however, you've still been on the planet for 29 years and you only have the emotional intelligence of someone around that age too. So yeah, emotional intelligence is different than educational intelligence. So, he will be getting some learnings and some, serious feedback from this. But ultimately, the message is, it is important to be true to your values.
Is he going to look back on this, do you think, and going, oh, why did I do that?
I think that will depend on the outcome. All of us, if we look back over our lives, there's been very pivotal points where we decide, should I take door A or should I take door B? And again, he has felt that this is important. In fact, two of the questions that he asks himself almost in the interview is one, what is it that is important to you? So he's telling us that this is really important to him. And, again, I think that refers back to why values are important to him. I would say freedom is another value that's really important to Edward. And also the second question he asks is, what would it take for you to leave everything behind? And that is the question that he's been asking himself over this time. What would it take for you to leave everything behind?
Well, I looked at the interview and to me, there seemed to be something else going on in this guy's mind. I think, okay, he's leaving a lot behind. I can understand that. I can't understand why he thinks that this is particularly revolutionary, or in fact, why the media are catching on to it at all. But it seems to me there's some cogs whirring in this guy's mind.
Yeah, having watched the same interview as yourself, I think actually what's interesting is what he's not telling us. And I think that there is a bigger picture here, which means that he has taken massive action. What he's not telling us is also demonstrating that he can still be trusted, but this is his way of dealing with something I think bigger than we're realising.